here in a second. Give him a chance to find his notes. And we have a full-time syndicator constantly trying to, it's not so easy to do. Joe Sparrow does a great job. Takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and we appreciate all of the affiliates. Some of the stations, radio stations, are big stations. Some are small. Some are in the middle. As I often say, I don't care if they only have one person listening to that radio station. I'm thankful. And they put us into these different communities where in many places there's not a lot of, real good access to information. Of course, there's always the internet, but I mean, remote places, there's some places not even health stores for that matter, or maybe just one. People are seeking insight, inspiration, information, but it's got to be credible. There's a lot of information out there. So much of it is just hocus pocus. And you have to use your critical thinking skills to discern what is good sense and what is nonsense, and what is science sense. I guess I got some people a little confused the other day when I said science is not going to resolve this obesity epidemic. Here's what I meant. If we didn't do another study about obesity and how to turn the tide on this, that would be, my point is we have enough information right now to do what we need to do. We know a lot about human behavior and why people eat, why they overeat. We know a lot about the foods that cause it. We know all about the obesogenic variables. We know a lot. We got a ton of information. But things don't get better. As I often say, bad things usually get worse and good things usually get better. Unless there's some sort of intervention to make it better, or you can make a good thing go south. Got to be careful. We know plenty. And this is an evidence-based show, and my training is science. It's science. I wasn't trained as a clinician, although I'm getting that training now. Medical researcher, journalist, nutritionist. But science has been a part of all of my training from beginning to end. So I'm all in 100%. So what would help resolve this crisis? I've talked about that. It's going to take education to do it. That is going to be that's the instrument. You need to teach people how to eat, what to eat, when to eat, where to eat. In other words, their relationship with food. And we have a lot of science to help with that. The problem is that we don't have a food culture, a food tradition in this country. We don't. Michael Pollan makes the argument pretty cogently in Omnivore's Dilemma. Take a country such as France. They eat cheese, they drink wine, they eat pastries, they eat not a lot of meat. But they have less cardiovascular disease and other chronic disease rates than we do. Why is that? Well, they have a set of rules, a set of guidelines and tradition that guide them. They very rarely snack. They don't eat a lot of junk and so on. And they're guided by what rules do we have here? And so what we're relying on are fad diets and science to tell us what to eat. Science can only do so much about that. In cultures where they have a food tradition, it's not just dropped out of the ether. It has developed over millennia. And those rules told people what to eat, what not to eat, what was poisonous, what was not. My guest today has a very keen insight into this. I've never talked to him about this. And some people say, we have a food tradition in this country. Well, if you want to, I guess you could say it's a highly processed industrial food chain tradition. Dr. Cass Ingram is my guest. He has a new book out. We're going to talk about that. Dr. Ingram, I'm going to bring you on. We're going to head the messages here in a minute, but I wanted to bring you on and say hello. How are you?
Great. How you doing?
I'm good. You've traveled around the world. You've been to many cultures. You are very expert in Middle Eastern cultures. You know a lot about those, Turkish and, back in the day, Iran was called what? Persia, right?
Yes, I think so.
So. You know a lot about those food traditions.
Yeah.
Do you agree or disagree? I mean, do we have a food tradition in this country? A food, like they have in Turkey or in France or in Italy?
Yeah, the triple cheeseburger. Nah, we don't have a culture.
No, it's a food culture of a very odd sort, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's a commercially driven or industrial food culture. That is, you will consume what we train you to consume through advertising, media, through deceptive tricks of the trade, and we will brainwash and program your children to do the same. So that's the food culture. It's an anti-culture. But basically, I mean, what I can do, I guess, to turn that tide, I have books on it, and I got into trouble with those books by big industry. So it's difficult because you're going up against monstrous multi-billion-dollar multinationals.
Oh, you are.
But what I can do, I guess, is at least share the natural medicine folklore and ethnobotany and the science and my discoveries with natural medicine. I mean, I did make a big discovery as far as obesity, as far as inflammation, and as chronic disease here, and it's my discovery, which is the idea of tree medicine resin, and it does so happen that they do help with assist the process of weight loss. But that's not why I'm talking. I brought to the world recently this.
We're going to get into that. Natural Cures from Wild Tree Resin, new book.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen up. It's me, your immune system. I'm always hard at work defending you against the many disease-causing viruses and bacteria that you are exposed to every day. But sometimes I need help to defeat the bad bugs. Luckily, our friends at Kyolic have come to the rescue. Kyolic has 2 super immune-enhancing supplements, Kyolic Immune Formula 103 and Kyo Green Harvest Blend Immune Defense. Kyo Green Harvest Blend is a power-packed blend of organic and naturally sourced grasses, ancient grains, fruits, veggies, herbal extracts, and spirulina in a fast-dissolving drink mix for
That's how you attack health issues. It's not just getting informed. I know people say that. I like the show because we get a lot, it's about educating is persuading. You're going to listen to Dr. Ingram today. He has a new book out. We showed the image up on the screen. We're going to get to that one second. We do have some new stations, new affiliates that have been included into the family of LTN affiliates.
And that's KTOX in Needles, California. They're 1340 AM and 104.1 FM. Also in Hattiesburg,
Mississippi.
Mississippi. It's
Laurel.
Mm-hmm. Laurel, Mississippi is 98.1 FM, WMXI in Laurel, Mississippi, Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
Good deal. Thank you very much for bringing our show into your community. It is about educating, and educating is persuading. We're trying to persuade people to rethink, reconsider, maybe, reconstitute their diet, their lifestyle, and their approach to health, wellness, and well-being. Dr. Ingram, welcome back. Congratulations on your new book.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so
What's the premise? What is in a word, what's the premise or thesis of the book?
The tree has to keep itself alive for 250 to 400, 500 years, and so it has its own genetic code and medicine. That medicine, if you take it, has a similar power on you for regeneration, for revival, for working on the primary illness syndrome. So that's what we're saying, and
what is the medicine?
The medicine is the gum resin. We're saying that has been used since antiquity. In fact, the richest kingdom of all time, the richest of all richest, were the frankincense and myrrh traders of Queen Sheba time and in and around that era. So the ancient civilizations held the incenses from tree gum resins in the highest regard as a health medicine.
So
not just for burning or something,
Frankincense and myrrh are resin derived?
They're tree resins.
They are tree resins.
That's right. They are exuding through the bark of the tree. The trees have resinous glands, but they're not necessarily super edible. You see, they are somewhat edible, but not like what I'm talking about in the book. So I do cover frankincense and myrrh and mastica, but the book focuses on resins that you can just chew on and eat, or you could consume in large quantities without even thinking about it, and that's going to be from the conifers. Most of the book's about spruce and pine. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If you were a spruce tree and you were trying to survive in 80 below zero,
yes,
and you had to keep yourself alive for 400 years, which is your genetic code, and somebody came along with a chainsaw and accidentally nicked you, or a truck backed into you, or a rodent chewed at your bark and what have you, is the code going to say, I'm just going to up and die, I don't care?
No, it's going to try to heal. It has its own pharmacy and method to heal the wound.
Yes, that is correct. And so urgently, rapidly, and almost like the flash of lightning, the resinous genetics seek the wound, and they seal it off.
That's amazing.
It is. And so, therefore, the tree that has been geared genetically to live 350, 400 years goes on despite a gash the size of, maybe a big knife blade. And it doesn't matter to it. It's done its job, and it's irrelevant.
In your research, and I know how you work. As you were reading, collecting, your data, information, trying to, gain an insight, a keen insight, did you read about accounts of early civilizations that, walking along, they saw something oozing out of the tree? Did you read?
I did not read exactly about that so much as an Aboriginal lady was telling me about the spruce up in northern Canada, how they're using it for psoriasis and eczema. So and she showed me kind of how they make it and boil it and such odd, and I'm kind of a raw, crude guy, so I did a little something with that, and then I left it be. That was 25 years ago.
Wow.
So God bless her, she was sharing with me. But what I did was I started picking it off the tree.
Okay.
And I just chewed on it, and then I took about a half a pound of it into my kitchen up north, and I made an extract. And then I started taking the extract, and I felt like a gazillion dollars. In fact, the first 2 times I took it, I woke up at 2 in the morning and went to work around the house. So I said, this is crazy, crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy stuff. So I started experimenting with it. That's how I got into it.
Really? That basic.
Yeah, and so I thought, well, the tree doesn't cook it to 280 degrees and boil it for 40 minutes to heal its own wounds. It sends it out in the raw.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured out how to make a raw extract.
Okay.
And then that led to, well, I got to write about it, and they're going to put this on the market to help people, because we started to see clinical cases. People taking it and reporting back. I didn't expect I mean, there is good data in Finland on how they found that the resinous matter when taken by humans. So somebody has a chopped off stump. The stump's not healing from an amputation. Somebody has a decubitus ulcer. Somebody has a bed sore that just won't heal. And they know, up in the north, they just take the butter and the spruce and they melt it and they cook it and they put it on. They've been doing it for 5,000 years, and the wound completely heals.
Bingo. All good. We'll be back.
Don't forget, you can reach us at 877-897-8255. That's 877-897-TALK. You can also go on Instagram at Let's Talk Nutrition, on Facebook at Let's Talk Nutrition. Join us, like us, and share us. You can also go to our YouTube page where we have over 65,000 views now, Doc. 1,100 videos are up, and you can comment on the videos, and they're closed caption for the hearing impaired.
It's all
impressive.
Good. It is. It's good. It's all good. Dr. Ingram is on today. He has a new book out. It's about resin, tree resins, and the medicinal properties, natural cures from wild tree resin. You heard Dr. Ingram tell you, I mean, this started 25 years ago or so, in a conversation that he had with some woman telling him about how to use tree resins, and, he put it in the back of his mind, and he got curious, and you heard what he had to say. Dr. Ingram, welcome back. So you were able to create an extract and put it in a dietary supplement form.
Yes, that is correct. With all the enzymes and all the rawness and all the extreme power. Anyway, it's called Spruce Alive, and it's the first ever. So you take the drops under the tongue, but people who are taking it, they sleep better, even though that you wake up clear and powerful. The people who have taken it report that they're getting improvement in hypertension. I've had a couple cases come back to me. And there is some data that pine and spruce do help with blood pressure. On that hypertension case, now we just have these 2 or 3 cases coming forward. This one chap, though, who has had blood pressure of 240 over 170, ouch, right, for decades. And the VA was very concerned about him, so he gobbled this stuff down, and he dropped to 120 over 80. Crazy response.
Wow.
Super crazy. Others, the prostate health, because, there are natural testosterones and other steroidal hormones in trees. That's obviously they need that to be powerful and big, and so... I had a case of a guy whose PSA dropped from 800 to 230.
Wait, his PSA was what?
800. Now, this guy's got the big C, of course, and bone metastases and prostatic cancer. He's Albanian. I'm not trying to make a claim for a company, okay, so stop. I'm just telling you exactly what happened. So He wanted to build a statue in my memorial over there, and I said, look, he's an artist. I said, don't give me a statue. And paint a nice spruce forest for me. What? The point is that this material goes to tissue that's sick or diseased and works on it. The Finland research published data on the fact that the spruce gum induces regeneration in tissue. That's a very thoroughly published article with pictorial evidence. They would take a stumped amputee or a decubitus ulcer non-healing wound, and they would watch it photographically, and they saw for sure epithelial tissue regeneration, a redo of the tissue, and that's what it's doing for the tree. So I like it. I like taking it as a sort of a regen type of thing. But I have one physician using it quite considerably for skin disorders. And I even published on my YouTube channel, you can see the woman there with her contact dermatitis and how this spruce extract reversed it. I have the information there. You go look at it.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is pretty unbelievable. Now then there's the Pine Alive, so my associates overseas said, we can get you, that villagers will collect the pine resin. I said, well, what do you use that for over there? And I made them give me a report, even though I have the data online. And so the villagers use pine resin, and they mix it with a bit of honey, and they use it for psoriasis and eczema, so it goes along with the spruce, skin disorders, for parasites, worm infestations, for prostatic disorders, and for fatigue and weakness and hormonal disruptions and uterine fibroids and ovarian disorders. These are the historical uses for the over the centuries. So why don't we have this available? We have all these chronic illnesses and syndromes, and we're not doing much medically for chronic disease, right?
So, are there any other companies out there trying to do anything with this?
Not at all. Never. The only thing is the resin that they cook to make a balm. And then there's pine pollen. You collect the pollen, put it in a capsule, high in testosterone. But this is the first ever harvested, crude, raw, unprocessed. Figure out a way to make it into sublingual drops. I'm telling you what. You want some power in just big power, where you've got strength and energy and vital force, and you feel like you could knock down a wall. You got to get into this stuff. What does it do? Well, we don't know all of what it does because nobody ever did anything before. But all I can tell you is that the tree, the pine and the spruce, everything about them is edible. That's one. But more, I think, importantly, is those trees. They seek out their own wounds or their own illnesses, and they lock them down. So will that do that in us? Well, the guy in Albania thinks it did. You know what happened with him? This is crazy stuff. The guy is in bad shape, huh? He's checking out. So he takes this, and I'm not making a claim. I'm just telling you what happened. He takes the stuff. He takes it every couple hours, a dropper full. He falls asleep. His wife thinks he's checking out. He falls asleep into a dead sleep for, 10, 12 hours. He wakes up and says, I don't have any more pain. This is like in a day? What are we talking about here? So we're watching this, and we're trying to keep close case histories, and then it could go into some kind of a clinical assessment, where you take a certain, maybe it's a psoriasis and eczema, because we're seeing this. That's an easy one to monitor. I have that case on. She's had contact dermatitis. She's a hairdresser, all the chemicals.
Yes.
For about 30 years. Nothing resolved it. She just gave me a $400 gift card to get 30 haircuts, because she says she's like so much better.
Well, good. That's good. You're doing good. Natural cures from wild tree resin. Gary puts the thing up, then he takes it down. What are you doing to me, man? Yes, new book. Dr. Ingram's always out there, man. Always exploring, always learning. Nutrition. Dr. Cass Ingram's on the show today. He's out with a new book, and it's about tree resin, and specifically, he focuses on. Do you focus just on three, Dr. Ingram?
It's the spruce and the pine. There's a section on frankincense and myrrh and mastic for those that want to probe. But yeah, it's really heavy on the spruce medicine.
Can't you make tea with the spruce needles?
Yes, you can take the fresh needles, and that would be a vitamin C rich tea, and you could take the fresh pine needles and do the same. And we could all do that if we had the trees around in a fairly clean area. The big cannon, though, is the raw crude resin. You know, that's where you're going to get these multiplicity of benefits, which we talked about: supporting a healthy pancreas, supporting a healthy gut. We can begin to talk about some of the benefits in that realm. We can do that: supporting a healthy skin response, supporting a healthy immune response, and joint health. But some of the traditional uses, and we're talking gum now, not just the needle tea, are joint disease, rheumatism, rheumatoid arthritis, canker sores. I mean, it's one of the nicest things we could use for canker sores. These raw drops would be the way to go. Gastric disorders, because the resin's going to coat the gut, especially erosive gastritis or gastric ulcer. Any kind of wound healing, and of course the whole range of contact dermatitis, psoriasis, eczema. That's going to be a novel treatment now for that. Can help the suffering masses when we didn't have any help before, significantly. As I mentioned, physical strength and stamina. And when you get into the pine, then you get into the heavy antiparasitic capacity. You know.
So those are the primary. In the book, you lay that all out, right?
I do. I put heavy emphasis on the medicinal benefits of taking the extract or using a balm of the pine and the spruce. That's the focus. Now, another arena that is important, as I mentioned, is the Finland work, where they use the material just topically for non-healing wounds. That's been the main traditional use. Where I took it to the next step is, why don't we just take the stuff internally? And it doesn't work very well if you cook it. It only seems, and as I mentioned, the tree has to have the raw gum to cure itself. So we just mimic that, and then we get the big benefits inside that gut of, as I mentioned, gastric disorders of all kinds, intestinal disorders.
That's where I want to go a little bit. What do you think? What do you think's going on there? What do you think the mechanism of action here is? Let's take intestinal permeability. Do you think it would help with leaky gut?
That's a very good point. Is the so-called leaky gut syndrome? The mechanism of action is cellular regeneration of the epithelial tissue in the gastric, esophageal, intestinal canal. And therefore, its anti-tumor properties or tumor prevention, because you want to prevent those smoldering, destructive issues where the cancer can develop, by providing hormonal support to regenerate tissue. If you keep and that's one of the benefits of fasting. Remember, every 7 days you re-epithelialize your entire intestinal canal. You lose all the cells, and if you don't either fast or intermittent fasting, now this Islamic Ramadan's coming up, they're going to fast for 30 days and they're going to re-epithelialize. A great thing. But if we don't do that, then the cancer begins to develop. So now you can basically take a pseudo-fast, take your spruce, throw that regenerative hormone in there. So not only for the gastric ulcer support or the intestinal leaky gut, but just to keep that ability of the gut to throw another nice new layer down, and that's not easy to do.
No, that's pretty darn good.
And both
yes.
pine and spruce do it. So one option is to take them both. You see?
Natural Cures from Wild Tree Resin by Dr. Cass Ingram, fresh off the press. Where could people go to purchase the book?
The only place is CassIngram.com, CassIngram.com, and also AmericanWildFoods.com. You can peruse both sites. That's the only place you're going to find the extract. I've been telling the health food stores, you got to get on board on this, and then they want education and so on. But I don't sell on Amazon. I don't know. I'm old-fashioned. I say, if you want to buy it, just go to the little guy. Go to my site, CassIngram.com, AmericanWildFoods.com. You can buy it there. It's the original site. If you want your store to carry it, make them carry it. And then the book's there. Get the book. Study something that's never been talked about before in the entire medical literature.
Pretty good. Right here on Let's Talk Nutrition, Dr. Cass Ingram, Natural Cures from Wild Tree Resin. You were up in Canada recently?
That is correct. I was there. Actually, it was about 2.5 years ago. No, it'd be 2 years ago. And so I was there, and it was in the fall, and I was looking for something to harvest. And, of course, all the berries and the greens were all gone. And so I started hunting around with the trees and noticing the exuding resinous gum. I said, well, they're all talking about turpentine, which I'm not going to take turpentine. I'm sorry. I want to see if I can get a natural turpentine. They're saying that turpentine cleans out parasites. How about pine resin? I couldn't find that, but I found a plethora of spruce. So I took it and experimented with it. That's when I said I popped up at 2 in the morning, so full of strength that I actually had to do stuff.
All right. Well, you'll find it sold in fine health stores.
Not really. You'd have to beat the health food store up with a club and make them carry it. But it's called Spruce Alive. So the only way you're going to get it is to go to the site.
Which one? North American?
No, it's CassIngram.com and also AmericanWildFoods.com. And solicit your store to get into this. Not the fake stuff, the distilled oil, the actual crude resin, people. Come on. That's what's going to work for the
CassIngram.com and the other site?
And then AmericanWildFoods.com.
All right.
Yeah, so make a study of it. If you're down for the count, you're going to see a difference. Remember that hypertensive case, the guy with the high PSA, all that?
All right. Dr. Ingram, thank you so much for being on today. We appreciate it. We'll be back after the top of the second hour. Return. We'll be here. And welcome to the show. Thanks for stopping by today. We had Dr. Cass Ingram on in the first hour. Got a new book out about resin. Throw that title up for me, baby. Natural Cures from Wild Tree Resin. He's something, you know?
Yeah.
Gary, he's been doing this work decades, 40, 50 years. And he's still animated, enthusiastic, motivated, whatever term you want to use, about it all. Just cracks me up. I love that.
Army Mountain School at Fort Benning, they teach to make a tea with spruce trees
For survival.
for survival, and it's got because it has A and it has C in it,
Yeah.
vitamin A and vitamin C. So and it's funny because we were talking about that before the show started.
Before he came on today. Yeah, we were. The plants. Stick with the plants. I'm telling you. It is, when there's a lot of data out there. I mean, science, right? Clinical trials, observational, epidemiological studies, whatever. All over the place about doing this, doing that. At the end of the day, you have to figure out what do I need to do? What do I need? You got to get it down to a few principles and a few things to do. Otherwise, you're going to be overwhelmed. Right? And so if you notice on this show, my approach is sort of minimalist. I don't give you a long list of things to do all at once. Because I've learned over the years that typically doesn't work with most people. They get overwhelmed and they're non-compliant. You have to identify a few things that work and that are not, you don't need an IQ of 240 to do it. That you can figure it out and get it done and that it works. And so that's how I approach all of this. And one great principle to follow is eat more plants than not. Fruits, vegetables, legumes, and plant-derived therapies where they put it together, either in the form of a food or a supplement or whatever. It's the chemicals, right? It's always about the chemistry and unlocking the magic of the chemicals. And over thousands of years, humans, our ancient ancestors, figured out what plants to eat and which ones to avoid. Because some of them will kill you. They're poisonous. And we figured it out in different places, totally disconnected from one another, different societies, different cultures, working through it and figuring it out and passing it down in oral tradition. And then when we started, to record, memorialized by writing. And that's how, this is, it's pretty basic. And so all I know is after all this time is that it is eat more plants than not. And if you can get them where they have been not so industrially processed, better yet. I'll even settle for industrial organic. I'll even settle for that.
What does that mean?
That means, what does that mean? Boy, good question, Gary. In Michael Pollan's book, Omnivore's Dilemma, he talks about industrial organic. And, that's where you're getting organic food, but it is it gets to you by way of the same sort of industry strategies and tactics to make the industrial food chain. Yeah, the food that's the processed food, the corn based food, industrial corn food, the industrial corn food chain. The same kind, big farms, having to ship it and all of that. Many of the organic farms that are local, little farms, small little farms, and, they're not, but those are far and few between. There are monoliths in the organic world, too. Read Michael Pollan's book, The Omnivore's Dilemma. But industrial organic is better than going through the industrial food chain that is corn-based. And then if you want to eat local, that's fine too, where it's not necessarily organic, but you got the local farms. They're still using chemicals. But the plants, stick with the plants. That's all I can say. A diet that's constituted more of meat, you're playing Russian roulette. If you're eating meat 3, 4, 5 times a week with minimal plant consumption, you're begging for trouble. I'm sorry, but that's a fact. And I have the data. I can roll that data out. We can spend the next month looking at the data about that. Without exception, the places, the societies on the planet where people live the longest and have great longevity and quality of life are those places where the diet is fundamentally, primarily, I didn't say exclusively, plant-based. The Mediterranean diet, we'll say, Mediterranean diet allows you to eat meat. Yes, but when you look at the plate, the piece of meat that's on the plate is a small piece. Here, you go to a restaurant, you order a steak, it covers the plate almost completely, and they have to put the vegetables on side dishes. It's almost like they're an afterthought. See the difference? So it is, it's about point of view and orientation. And there's no amount of supplements or no kind of supplement or supplements that are going to countervail bad eating and bad living. They just won't do that. Drinking a quart of Jack Daniels a day, why? What do you want me to do with that? And eating processed meats, luncheon meats, and this and that, and then you come to me and say, help me out. Well, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to change? What are you willing to remove or diminish or decrease? Yeah. And make no mistake, and this is the point of view on this show. What's the date today? May what?
May 3rd.
Okay. 2 more days, the show will be 14 years old. From the very beginning, I've said, and without exception, I'm on the record. It's all over the place. We have videotape, audio tape, all kinds of other tape. Nutrition, diet and nutrition taken together are the driving force of health, wellness, and well-being. I'll say that forever. Ridgecrest Herbal's original. that I'll add to what I was just asserting, and I was making an argument. If you're going to eat red meat, grass-fed, and if the grass was organically grown, grass-fed, not corn-fed, it's not inherently, for a lot of different reasons. It would take me too much time to break that all down right now. It's grass-fed. That's where if you're going to eat the meat, and stay away from the highly processed luncheon meats and all of that. It's just bad news. That's all I can tell you. Stick with the plants. You would think that we didn't have enough to eat, right? And why would scientists be interested in trying to find alternative food sources? Well, there's a concern. We may not, as time we keep polluting with climate change and destroying the soil and not using prudent farming practices and so on. There may come a time, and too many people, there may come a time when there are going to be food shortages, right? So scientists around the world are looking for alternatives. Some of these alternatives don't sound all that appealing to me, but here's this. I wanted to share this with you. It's an article by Susan Scuti from CNN, and she said, to feed the world, begin with maggot sausage and insect ice cream. Maggot sausage? Are you serious? It's bad enough people are eating lobsters. They don't look all that great either. But I don't know. There's an Australian researcher at the University of Queensland, meat science professor, Lorenz Hoffman, Dr. Hoffman. He's exploring, if you will, good luck with this, maggots, locusts, and other alternative proteins that could be used or added to a range of specialty foods. Specialty _ Oh, my God. I'll pick this up in a minute. We have a caller. I don't like to leave callers hanging in the ether. Carl, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Hello. Thank you. I been prescribed for aspirin once a day, the 81 gram type, and I'm over 70, and I've read articles that I'm particularly vulnerable for stomach hemorrhaging and brain hemorrhaging because of the effects of it. And I'm wondering if there's any type of supplement or what I should do to take it in lieu of taking the aspirin.
Why? Who prescribed it? Your cardiologist?
No, this was taken a general physician, family physician.
Why is he prescribing it?
They just said because they wanted to make sure my blood didn't clot, and I've heard of it recently that came out of an article that it said that the effects of it can be way more than the benefits for especially somebody who's over 70 years old. And so I just want to know if there's any type of supplement that can...
well, again, here's it's hard for me to answer that because I don't know what the specific health reason or reasons other than, do you have heart disease?
No.
You don't have atherosclerosis?
No, I never been diagnosed with that. I have stage 2 diabetes.
Okay. All right. I understand.
And I have.
Do you have high blood pressure?
Yeah, but I take the statin for the blood pressure.
Is it an 86? Is it the baby aspirin, 86 milligrams? Is that what he?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Now, Aspirin can lead. This is controversial. There was recently, Gary, see if you can find that for me, please. There was a recent statement, and I'm trying to pull this out of my brain as I talk to you, where there was a disclaimer now about the standing recommendation for people to take an aspirin a day. It was recently. I think it was in Science Daily where I saw it. Am I right, Gary?
Yeah,
Yes.
What did they?
Recently, within the last month, I'd say.
Oh, hold on. What did they say, Gary? Science Daily.
I'm going to put it up right now.
Okay. Or send it to me. Science Daily. This has been a long-standing.
There you go, Doc.
Okay. Frequent use of aspirin can lead to increasing bleeding, study finds. Scroll down a little bit. A new study published in right there in the Journal of the American Medical Association has found that taking aspirin, I'm quoting, on a regular basis to prevent heart attacks and strokes can lead to increased risk of almost 50% in major bleeding episodes. That's the study you were referring to, I think, right, Carl?
Yes, I think that is the one.
All right. Are they concerned about your blood clotting for some reason?
No, I've been subscribed for years. Just on the just
Okay,
the basis
so
of,
what I can tell you this: I can't prescribe, I can't treat. I know this: taking fish oil, omega three fatty acids in the form of fish oil, does thin the blood. That's all I can tell you. I don't know what's in the physician's mind for you. I don't know what he's concerned with. Don't hang up. We come back. I'll talk to you some more. Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. I was reporting on alternative food sources, maggots and locusts. Then we had a call. Then we had a call from Carl, and I wanted to take the call. And he raised an interesting issue. His doctor told him to take 1 aspirin a day. It's the baby aspirin, I believe it's 86 milligrams. There's a recent study just came out that there are some issues with taking, can cause gastrointestinal damage. I mean, we've known that for a long time. And so there are other alternatives here. Let me chat with Carl for a second. Carl, welcome back. It's kind of interesting. You'll see a commercial on TV for rivaroxaban. Rivaroxaban. You know what that is?
No, I don't.
It's Xarelto. Now, if you look up Xarelto or rivaroxaban and side effects, it doesn't look all that good to me either. Right? And so now you're in a dilemma. And so your doctor says to you, Carl, I want you to take an aspirin a day. And if I'm the patient, I would ask him why. And he says, well, if he said to you, I don't know what he said to you, if he said, I'm concerned about blood clots, then I'm going to ask him why. Do I have atherosclerosis? Do I have heart disease? Do I have plaquing in my arteries, coronary artery? What's going on with me? I don't know if you do or not. I don't know if he told you or not. So,
no, he hadn't. It's a she. She didn't say that. I take the omega-3.
Okay.
From natural factors.
Good.
Daily.
That's good. That's good. Now, omega-3s will thin the blood. Now, again, I don't prescribe and I don't treat because I don't want to and because I can't. It would be illegal. But I can share with you that in the literature, you will find discussions about natural blood thinners, compounds derived from plants mostly. What kind of interesting? Turmeric is one of them.
Okay. I take turmeric too.
Good.
From zinc.
It's fine. Then there's ginger. Just give me a moment, then you can ask me and say whatever you want. Ginger is another. Cayenne peppers is another in the form of a supplement. Or cayenne peppers have salicylates in them, which are those are the agents. That's a blood thinning agent. Salicylates. Vitamin E is well known to thin the blood in different mechanisms of action. Garlic, aged garlic extract has been known to help as an anti-thrombotic agent that reduces blood clot formation. Cassia cinnamon contains coumarin, which is a powerful blood thinning agent. Warfarin is the most common used blood thinner, by the way, out there, which is derived from coumarin, which is interesting. Warfarin is mimicking something found in a plant. Grapeseed extract has been known to help with that kind of issue. Don Quay, also known as female ginseng, is another. It's a Chinese herb that can reduce, it's reported in the literature, blood clotting. Feverfew is a medicinal herb that has been known to act as a blood thinner and reported in the literature. Bromelain, which is an enzyme, by the way, from pineapple. The extract you can get bromelain from pineapples. Can thin the blood, break down blood clots, and so on. So you heard this list. There are other things that are out there, plant-derived mostly, compounds that can help with blood thinning. So that's all I can say to you. I mean, your question to me was, are there other things that thin the blood? And I just gave you probably about a list of 10 that are reported in the literature to do that. Now you can ask me and say whatever you want. Go ahead.
Okay. I've switched my diet to a plant-based diet.
Attaboy.
And I also take the age
Aged garlic extract?
Yes, I take that. And I also take the vitamin E.
Good. You're doing okay. So far, so good.
So like I say, I'm going to check with her one more time and say.
Well, that's my next recommendation.
Okay.
Do not stop taking any medication or any protocol until you talk with your doctor.
Okay.
And if you're going to include particular supplements or foods in your diet to do something that the doctor is wanting the medication to do, you should discuss that with your physician. Now, I don't know what kind of mindset or point of view she has and how open she is to this sort of integrative approach. I'm not telling you not to take the aspirin. I'm just telling you that you brought it up. You alluded to the study, and then I found the study for you. It's a month old. It came out about a month ago. We've known for a long time that aspirin has side effects. Okay? Willow bark is where aspirin came from. It's mimicking willow bark. Okay? So, it's hard to... You're trying to do the right thing. I just don't know why she told you to do it. If you don't have heart disease, if you don't have atherosclerosis, she must have some reason for telling you to do that. And you need to ask her why.
Just because of age, maybe?
But if he doesn't have I don't know. I don't know what her thinking. I have no clue.
I'll have to. I should have asked about that because she did lower. I mentioned I wasn't taking it anymore, and she says, "Well, just take 3 times a week instead of every day. Take it 3 times a week." But there was no explanation, and I thought, well, I'm going to try to do naturally through other supplements to see if I can get it down on its own, and that way I wouldn't have.
I don't know what she's trying to get down. That's the point.
Maybe he's heavy, and she wants to just.
You're not overweight.
No,
I know you're not. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, when a doctor said, for me, I drive my doctors crazy. And as a matter of fact, they drive me crazy. They ask me more questions than I ask them. Dr. Garko, what herbs are there? They're wanting to know what they can give to their patients for some certain medications. They're always asking me about that. So that's what you should do. And she should welcome any questions you have. I don't know what's on her mind. She might have a very good reason, and it might be necessary for you to take that aspirin. But I gave you some choices, and you now are hopefully better informed. We'll be back.
Want to get at the core issues that make weight loss so difficult?
Here's the LTN health question of the day. It's a true and false question. I'm trying to see how I can set this up for you. True or false? Kids who favor diet sodas over sugary drinks don't consume fewer calories over the course of a day. True or false? Children or kids who favor diet sodas, who drink diet sodas in place of sugary drinks, do not consume fewer calories over the day. Is that true or false? Here's a number to call to be a winner.
877-897-8255, 877-897-TALK.
I was reporting on this new, it's a statement by a professor, and I've looked him up. He's legitimate. Dr. Lorenz Hoffman, who's exploring how maggots and locusts can be alternative protein sources. The biggest potential, he says, for sustainable protein production lies with insects and new plant sources. Studies show that Western consumers who may recoil, they said in the article, from the idea of eating insect-based meals will try insects if they are processed and disguised. You know, when they put them inside other kinds of foods. Dr. Hoffman said, one of my students has created a very tasty insect ice cream. Really? All right. I've known a few entomologists in my day. That's an interesting group of scientists. They study insects and bugs and whatnot. I have worked with them on cases where when I was doing trial and jury consulting work, we had to hire an expert, an entomologist, because if you have a body that's been decaying, you have to bring in an entomologist to see what's going on. They can determine a lot of things from.
Oh yeah.
Right, Gary?
Oh yeah. I've seen it.
You've seen it.
Yep.
Sure, as a police officer.
They could get it down to almost a matter of a window of hours.
Exactly. Entomophagy is the scientific word for eating insects. It's commonly practiced in at least 113 countries. In some places, it's a delicacy. Good luck with that. Let's go to Largo, Florida. Nellie lives there. Hi, Nellie. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Dr. Gorko. How are you?
Good. Thanks for asking. So, is this sentence true or false? Kids?
I say it's false.
Well, that's not the right answer today. I'm sorry. So the sentence was, kids who favor diet sodas over sugary drinks, kids, are drinking diet sodas in place of the different sugar-loaded beverages, don't consume fewer calories over the course of the day. It turns out, I guess we have a winner. Do we have a winner, Stephen? No. You know what? We don't have anybody else that called in. I'm going to give it to you anyway.
Thanks very much.
It turns out, Nellie, that they end up consuming 200 more calories a day when they drink the diet drinks. It's sort of a boomerang effect. This is according to a study. It was a survey of 7,000 U.S. children and teens. It's counterintuitive. You would think, well, if they replaced the sugary drinks with diet sodas, they would consume less calories. Nope, not in this study. They didn't anyway. I was thinking about it, and I was thinking from a psychological point of view. Sometimes people will invoke that kind of strategy, and they're thinking, you know what? I gave up my sugary drinks. I'm drinking diet sodas. And what do they end up doing? They end up eating other foods that they normally would eat less of. Now they eat more of them because they think they can, right? Which are loaded with calories. So they may have tricked themselves into eating more calories. It's that's a hypothesis. I don't know if that's true, but I was just trying to think through it. Why would they, if they reduce the number of calories in the sugar beverages by eliminating them and drinking and diet sodas than drinking diet sodas, they should automatically have less calorie consumption. No. So it may be then that they're consuming more calories and other foods that they typically would not eat or not eat a lot of because they think, no, I gave up sugary drinks, so I'm okay. I'm all good. I can eat these other things. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But congratulations.
Psychological, you think? Okay, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. We do the health question of the day. Want people to win. To get a nice $25 supplement gift card. Every little bit helps. Are you doing okay? Are you taking care of yourself?
I'm doing fine. I listened to you, and I would like to make a comment with regards to fish oil.
Yeah.
Because I do take fish oil. It is a natural blood thinner. As a matter of fact, it has lowered my triglycerides. And I like the liquid fish oil, but I don't take it every day because it is a natural blood thinner. I do and I like the liquid. I do like 3 times a week.
Okay. What do you do? A tablespoon or something?
Yes, one.
Which brand?
Right now I have Carson's.
Oh, Carson's is good.
Yes,
Carlson's is a venerable company. They've been around a long time, Nellie.
Mm-hmm. And they've got natural
factors.
Naturals.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good one too. Also, if we've got a few minutes with regards to aspirin, I don't know if this is rules with regards to the FDA. As soon as you're 40 or 50, they automatically put you, whether you need it or not.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I would think that one through. There are other ways to thin your blood. I would talk with my cardiologist about that for those who have issues with that. Fish oil, there are some natural ways to do this. Now, again, never stop taking medications until you talk to your doctor, and always tell your doctor what supplements you're taking. Thank you for the great call. Thank you for listening, Nellie. Your health is your wealth, and your health is the wealth of those that care about and love you.
Everyone's raving about the newest botanical superstar hitting the store shelves nationwide. Hemp